I don't like listening to people. I don't like listening to me, but I literally don't like to listen.
Did you feel like you were that kind of person before?
I used to be. I was a broadcaster. I was a news service. For everything, I need to be there. First, most impactful, make my print, visibly helpful.
Visibly helpful.
I need the money from the royalty tax.
Is that ego? Salam everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It doesn't matter what time you're watching this video. Welcome back to Learning Living with me, Ali. And now we have an amazing guest. One of my most amazing teachers that always helped me to maintain my sanity, which I think we all need that, because living life, we always have its ups and downs. We always face its ups and downs. And sometimes we forgot how to maintain our sanity, how to maintain our emotion, our thoughts. And living life is about learning to live our life in a better way. So we always have our guest that has expertise in different aspects about facing different challenges in life. And we have René Suhardono.
Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting, Ali.
It's my honor to have you here. You're an author, a coach.
So what they say. you gotta put something. Sometimes you gotta put something underneath your name, and that could be troublesome for me sometimes. Author is the safest way to go.
Author or personal development enthusiast? No, not really.
No.
How would you put it then?
Well, here's the thing. The word profession interests me. Profession, because it is as if we are confined in certain box within society. You find that? So if the reason I put author and not the other, because people would hate me less.
Well, okay, here. But I found
I'm
something.
breaking your show, is it?
No. This is because I found something interesting, even just from the get-go, from the very beginning.
Sure.
You said that author, like less people will hate you. You said that.
That's the ego talk. You noticed that, right?
Yeah, which is what I want to discuss with you.
Yeah, I want people to love me. I think I deserve more love than hate. Yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, you were saying about ego. It's something that I've been struggling throughout my life and come to realize it at a later stage in my life. So I think putting it in here, having it to be discussed is a good thing. But let me just wait until you ask the question. Well, I have a tendency to, what was the word? To yap.
Well, that's why you're here. That's why we invite you here is to yap your knowledge, your experience, your wisdom as well.
What's your question? I'll just answer your question.
So let me start. About managing ego, I learned a lot about managing ego a lot from you. Like everybody has their ego, and it's always there, but it's how we manage it. That's my belief. And I would like to get your perspective on that, and maybe your own experience in recognizing and then managing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How should I start? Knowing self is less about discovery, but it's more about acknowledging that you have ego, and consciously, how do you say it? Mengupasnya,
like uncovering the layers.
Uncovering layers. Uncover is such a nice word because sometimes the process it's more difficult. Throughout my life, I learned the hard way that I always thought it's more about discovery, about finding what you like, about what is it now? To be inspired, and so that's not completely wrong, but to the other end, that's equally important. I think is the idea that you recognize. You need to continually recognize that when you say something, when you claim something, when you think about something, is it about you, what you can get, what you will have, your glory, your passion, your purpose, or is it about having the curiosity to know more, having the sense of part of an ecosystem?
Part of an ecosystem.
Yeah.
Can you give an example of that, like from that journey of yours? The acknowledging part, at least. Let's start from there.
I always wanted to be a commissioner.
A commissioner.
A commissioner. How do you say it in English? Is that a commissioner? Commissaris?
Board of commissioner.
Board of commissioners.
Like in a company.
In the US, I know it's a different term. In the US, it would be the board of directors. But it could be misleading because in Indonesia, we have board of directors and there's a board of commissioners.
Yes.
I find it nice because you don't need to work as hard as the board of directors. And the board of directors get more money, obviously, but it's not. It's just 60% money. Sometimes it's 80%. It's fine, and the work is much less. And I think it would position me in a way that people would have to hear me. So for the longest time, I designed my career to have that. Sometimes I forcefully compel people to appoint me as commissioner, but that never happened. Zip, nada, zero, non-existence. The best thing that the only thing that happened during that time was, at least I get to be called, to be asked, and to get advice from me. But never ever my innuendo, my scheming work to get that. Until the moment I completely recognized that I'm not capable for it. I don't have the necessity to do it. I lack the curiosity, the understanding to be a commissioner. I don't like listening to people. I don't like listening to me, but I literally don't like to listen, period. And until to a certain stage where I went through an experience in my life where I feel like whatever happened to me, it has been decided already. So what I need to do is just memantaskan diri. How do you put that in English? To not deserve, just to do what you can within your capability.
Like to put yourself in a position where you're worthy of it. Like
yes, it's not saying that you are worthy, but trying your best to make sure that whatever it is that is given to you, what's in front of you, so that you are worthy of it. So in the old days, I feel like I'm here and I want to be there. Now I feel like I would rather be here and don't want anything. To my surprise, that's the first time the offer came.
To be a board of commissioner?
Of a public company. So I learned one thing. Stop scheming, and when you think that you're worthy, that's a very good sign that you're not. Because you need to keep on, how should I say?
We're talking about worthy like for a particular position or something.
For
like
anything.
That. Yeah.
For anything. Never think yourself you're worthy yet. Don't use this as to negate yourself. No, I don't mean that.
Yeah.
But the way to curb ego is to promote instead curiosity and awareness, rather than personal interest and self-promoting.
Well, do you mind if I ask, like, what happened? Like when you say that, until some experiences that triggers you to.
We discussed this in your previous.
We have a different audience now.
This is a different audience.
Right.
It was a difficult experience for me because it involving my marriage, and I have always thought I have the ability to get away with everything because of my ability to convince people, including my wife, up to a moment where most of the thing that I've done bad throughout our marriage was shown to my wife, so she knows everything. And I was in a situation where I don't know what else I can say. there isn't much I can do, I could say, other than accept the fact that I was wrong. And I could not save, there isn't any single thing that is worthy of me. And I felt that. So that was a huge moment. And during that moment, to make long story short, basically a good friend basically really cared about us. And he said, this is a difficult situation, you need divine intervention. Why don't you come for a Hajj with me? And we went there. And for my wife, it was like a moment of consolation. But for me, it was like I was given a second chance. And I did the most difficult task to evaluate myself, honestly. And I didn't like what I found. What I found was like I was dominated, my decision, my conclusion, my choices in life, focusing much on me, myself, and I. And that was the one that struck me the most, and I never realized that. I always thought, I'm a good guy, I want to create impact, I want to give positive contribution, I want to show to the world that you can, because I can. But apparently, that was not it. That was wrong.
Like the intention, like to want to create a positive impact, it's something good. But was it like the reason behind it that made you feel it's wrong, or?
You see, ego has a clever way to masquerade itself. You may think it's contributing for the society, impacting to the world. That's all nice thing. But based on my experience, not only to me, but throughout people I've coached, that's not their true intention. It is just a mask. And interestingly enough, ego is a Latin word for basically mask. Persona is mask. So personality is the study of the mask. Personality test is a test about your mask. Interestingly. And what is it that being masked? Is that the right word? Is that the right sentence? The one that is masked is your true self. The original you. The one that does not need any recognition because it's there. It's your soul. It's your truth. Not your truth. It's the truth. You see? And I'm very sensitive now to the idea that I know how smart ego is. So ego may manifest in different way. The first one is when ego feels like they are the most righteous. It's called merasa paling benar. Is it wrong to feel that you're righteous? No. But when you feel you are the most righteous, you create problem. You see other people are less righteous than you. You are the only one who can be right. The rest are wrong. So that's one form of ego. You following me?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay. The other form of how ego masquerade is when you feel like a victim. When you feel like you are the most victimized. This is also ego. You see? You feel like it's the world against me. I need to show to the world that I'm the victim. You see? You need, without realizing, you ask for pity of the world. But what happened was like, it's a self-pity. And the third thing is really difficult to translate it in English, but it's very subtle. I say it in Bahasa Indonesia first. Merasa paling berguna.
Like feeling like you're the most useful.
There you go. So impact is here. The idea that making an impact, that you are born to create impact is here.
What's the difference with the first one? Like the first one is feeling...
the first one is feeling most righteous.
Oh, okay. Righteous.
And then the other one is most victimized.
Yeah.
This is, how do you say it?
The most useful.
Most useful. So these are all the manifestation of ego. And if you don't realize it, you feel like it's you. No, it's not you. It's just a facade of you. The more you let it, the bigger it gets. And you lost track on who you are, essentially.
Let me take a breath. Now, That's very interesting. Like 3 ways, at least, like the ego can mask.
Can trick
like,
you.
Yeah.
Can trick me.
Yeah.
Can trick us.
Can trick us. And so does that mean that is one of the ways to identify, right?
Exactly.
If you feel like you're the most righteous, okay, let's
So next step,
take a step back. And,
exactly.
right.
Why is it? I think it's easier because when you say recognize ego, how? You see, but now we it's like we have the playbook. We are in possession of their playbook, so we know how they work. They is ego.
Yeah.
So the next time you feel like I'm right, I am so right, I am the righteous. Careful. And the next thing to do, you need to fight that inclination, that urge to be right. And how do you fight it?
Yeah.
You find people with different opinion, and you just need to sit and listen. You force yourself. You see, that's the antidote. So if you feel like you are the most victimized, what do?
Look for others who already also are experiencing even worse things.
Yes. The story of the prophets throughout all religion is a story of victims. They are victims of their parents, they are victims of their brothers, sisters, society, kings, oppressors. But one thing is interesting. They never see themselves as victims. They are de facto victim. But they never allow themselves to see that they are victims. Why? It's not a crucial point. They choose to be grateful. So what they do, they always bring about the story of those who are lesser than them, who experience worse than them.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding right now, it doesn't mean that you're not a victim, but it's about
You could be a victim,
feeling. Yeah,
but you should not feel like you won.
Like you should not let go that power of responsibility, like self-responsibility, and that you can, okay, yes, maybe I am a victim, but it's not about blaming others.
Yes.
The blaming part is where the ego comes in. That's what my understanding so far. But it's about taking responsibility.
Yes.
Yes, you're probably, people are doing the wrong things to you. You're being wronged, but it's not denying that, but also not staying too long, like not dwelling in the blaming game.
Yes.
But try to take responsibility to actually change it. The ego is the part that keeps us dwell in the blaming game. Is that correct?
Yes. Because it's easier to blame. The inclination in all of us, in myself, in you, in everyone, is that when something bad happened, the easiest thing to do is to blame others. Even blame God. Even blame situation. What more? It's only parents, it's only friend. They're their fault. But when you do that, you let ego take control. And the rest of the decision will be ego-based decisions. Ego-based choices. Which let you, it's like ulir sekrup tuh apa ya?
No idea.
It's like
spiraling kind of.
Spiraling down.
Yeah.
You continue to go down without realizing it. And you become bitter. You see the world through the lens of pessimist, apathist.
And I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong again, I think it can even be even more than that. It can even look as something very positive. If you look at out of those 3 ways we can identify, like the most righteous or feeling the most useful, like what you just said is like it gets you to feel like bitter and pessimist. But you can also feel like, oh, I'm great and all that. But that's also ego driven as well, right? So
it's the need to to acquire more and more validation of your ego, that is the trap. That is the biggest trap.
Because you can also be very optimistic,
Yeah.
but also
So
be driven by
egoistic at the same time.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True. It's a tricky thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why you need to grow old.
Well, it's going to happen like it or not, right?
Well, it doesn't guarantee that being old would benefit you. The ability to curb your ego, but it would surely help. Your point of view would change, and having a different perspective always helps.
So, for those who are maybe like reflecting as they're hearing, like listening to this conversation, maybe that thing that I did is driven by ego because it made me feel like the most righteous or the most victimized or the most useful. Now, but I still want to be someone useful.
That is not wrong.
Right? So
most useful is wrong. Useful is right. It's okay.
So the problem here is in the word most, like most righteous, useful. Most useful.
The word is most useful. We have a simpler Indonesian term for that. It's called pamrih. How do you say it in English?
Like it's like conditional
mentality. So it's like pamrih. Yeah. You do things tit for tat. That's pamrih.
Like conditional, right? Like
I'll be nice to you if you're nice to me.
Like to do good deeds with expectations that you'll get something back in return, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So meaning to be useful is good.
To be useful is a consequence. Should be a consequence.
Can it be an intention?
It is start from an intention, but the intention need to be not usefulness, but curiosity. Because when you start it as useful, you already, how should I say it? You train your mind. I don't know how to put it in English. Having useful as intention is difficult to manage. It's more difficult to manage.
Why?
It creates unnecessary expectation that you have to be useful. The simpler thing is just be curious and do it wholeheartedly. That's it.
Can you give an example of that? The difference about wanting to be useful as an intention and
if I'm a friend, if you're in the mud, you seem to like mud. So let's use that example. I'm your friend. When I see you in the mud, what is my inclination? What is the first thing I say? If I want to be useful to you, then the first thing I do is I'm going to say to you, hey, Lee, get out of the mud. It's not good there. Stop being there. It's me being useful. There's an expectation that I need to get you from the mud. Because why? Because I'm not in the mud. I see you in the mud. So I need you to be not in the mud. Does that make any sense? That's when you have the notion of being useful at first. But if the notion is curious, is awareness, having awareness, gentle awareness, and what did I say? Curious, awareness, and empathy. What I do is, you're in the mud. I would sit in the mud with you, and I'll just leave. It's mud here. What are we doing here? You see, the conversation is different. It's no longer me trying to save you, because saving it's also create an egoistical problem. It's just me sitting in the mud with you and trying to understand where you are, why you're here. And then when you're ready, let's go out of it together. It's not nice because I choose to be in the mud with you. I'm not passing any judgment. I'm just asking you curiosity. Maybe you find something. Maybe it's not mud. I just feel that it's mud. You see?
Yeah.
Are you following? Does that make any sense?
It makes a lot of sense. So, even without having to jump in the mud with me, to first ask why are you, like curiosity, like And then here, maybe, let me know what you think. I think I learned this from you as well. So, to ask first, because what we think they need
Maybe different.
yeah, it's not always right. We cannot just based on our assumption.
Yes.
So maybe it's right, but still ask. Try to understand first. You know.
And before that, you need to choose whether you want to care or you want to be useful. It's a different thing. Because if you haven't made that choice, it would always eventually be the choice of being useful. And I'm not saying it's like the biggest sin. No, I'm not saying. I'm just you can only care to so many people. There's only so much bandwidth you have in life. You cannot care about everything. But what you do when you do care. But what you don't need to do is trying to make it appear as you care about everything. And you are busy convincing the world that you are caring. No, that's not you being cared. You want to be seen as a caring person. You see? That's an ego.
Did you feel like you were that kind of person before?
I used to be. I was a broadcaster. I was a news service. For everything, I need to be there. First, most impactful. Make my print. Visibly helpful.
Visibly helpful.
You see? And I know, what have I been doing? And I saw my family was being neglected by me because my all my attention was diverted to here. This is the usefulness broadcast. René's useful broadcast here. But I wasn't trying to be useful. In truth, I want to be perceived as someone who is useful.
Like to be known.
Oh, beyond that, actually not to be useful. Yes, that's one. But the most important thing is René as a name. Glorify me. Like me. Comment on me. You see? And the more I seek on that, the more I miss out on the little thing that I need to care more. You see, why do they become your family? Because God wants you to care about them more than the people who are more distant than you. So what have I been doing? Caring for people who are out there more than I care about this. I'm not saying that we should not care about what's happening in Gaza or whatever. No, we need to care about them.
And
this is tricky.
It's
did a terrible job explaining it. Sorry.
No. And even from the way you're explaining it, it sounds exhausting.
It is. I've been trying to tell people, finding out ways, perhaps you can help, to better communicate to people that focus on what's nearer and have our curiosity, our awareness to what's nearer, because I think it's more effective that way. And we become a more caring society eventually.
More so, okay. And from your experience, because I feel like you have transformed as a person, and I believe we will continuously, continuously evolving as a person. But there were like some significant period of time where like there's a significant transformation in your life, including uncovering that layers, as you mentioned. And like what I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this conversation about maintaining sanity.
That's expensive.
And sometimes we're continuously driven by our ego. And even worse, if we're not even realizing that we're driven by our ego, it becomes so exhausting.
It is.
Because it's a never-ending spiral, right?
and you don't even realize you're going down.
Right. And hopefully, by listening to this conversation, by learning about those three ways, most righteous, most victimized, most useful, at least it can help a person to reflect on their own journey, right?
Hopefully.
And then maybe identify, oh, so actually that was driven by my ego. But is ego a bad thing, like always a bad thing, or can it be good from your experience?
That's a curved question. I never thought much about that. Ego has bad consequences, many bad consequences. But the idea why ego is there, it was given to us by our Creator for a purpose. And I need to go back to the reference on how do we define me, myself, and I. You see, it has some usefulness. Imam Ghazali, the Tazkiyatun Nafs, his book, explained exhaustively to the art of self. And he says, we're like onion, certain layers. So when we see ego like those layers, ego is a pretty recent concept, but the core of it has been discussed for numerous times, way from the beginning of civilization. Your question is ego always bad? I say that ego has its purpose, but you need to be able to define it in a correct manner. Ego has many bad consequences, unintended bad consequences, if you don't have the knowledge to make use of it. Like the interesting part of what Imam Ghazali said was that we, in essence, every organ that's in our body are the people. You see, they're like the people. Eyes, the people. These are.
It's like a society kind of thing.
A society.
Yeah.
These are people, and people would follow directive, would follow ruling. The question is, which of the internals rule them? Because, and then he starts with describing the first layer, what he says as, what is it? Shahwiyah. Shahwiyah is, gairah.
Like,
What's that in English? Desire.
Like desire. Yeah.
Desire. Why do God allow us to have desire? And the idea is so that you would enjoy food that would sustain you. You would enjoy the art of lovemaking with your spouse, with your wife. But if you don't have control over it, you would allow yourself to overeat, and you would do sexual intercourse with everyone who wants to have sexual intercourse with you. See, it has a good purpose, but it also have bad consequences if you don't know how to control it. You see, the other layer is what Imam Ghazali called as ghadab, anger. Why is there anger in you? To uphold sense of justice, to uphold justice. Because when you see something wrong and you feel there's nothing wrong about it, there's something wrong with you. But overdo it, you become an angry person, someone with anger issue. You see, I'm not going to go far into this, but those are the idea. Ego is specifically given, but you need to also you need to have the ability. You need to train yourself to decipher what ego is, and don't treat it as monolithic aspect of you, because it has layers. Does that make myself?
So in this is really interesting. So my conclusion from your explanation is that, because I asked you whether so is that ego a bad thing or a good thing? So it's neither. It has its good consequences. That's why it is there, right? That's why it's given to us.
It has its good intention. There's a good intention on why it is given to us.
Right. However, if we we let ourselves be controlled, be driven by it, then it can lead us to a lot
Can
of
I rewind it a bit?
bad consequences.
If I may rewind it a bit. By choosing not to harness, not to exercise the ability to recognize and control it, you would end up be controlled by it. So you see, here's the problem. Our school system, in everything, in every education part that we do in life, we are being taught to observe the environment mostly, but less and less time on understanding self. And that is a problem. That is why there's so much problem when we ask why the problem was there. We discovered that it's ego problem.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reflecting to my own life.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Life is much simpler. You can see Gaza problem as ego problem. Can.
Yeah.
You can see, I don't know, everything that we see. And then you become, you're developing a different lens to look at things. That's the beautiful part of it. So you don't see just from that angle, oh, the guy has an ego problem. I need to understand that. Okay. Should I get involved? Is this me caring, or is this me trying to show that I'm right and he's wrong?
So, in the way to make a good use of ego is to
Train it.
To train it, and training it is like, well, how can we
Exhausted.
Sorry.
Very exhaustive. You get easily exhausted at first because it forces you to think in a way that you're not used to think. And you were asked to take note of the past. Just focus on the big instances in your life, the good and the bad, and see how you work around it, why you made that choices. But the part that is helpful to me to recognize ego is basically two things. First, remember, you on your deathbed, it would make everything simpler. Just remember, whatever it is that you think is important, would it still be important by then? If not, then it's ego. Is it?
Yeah.
It's not nice thinking about your own self in deathbed. But from time to time, I think it's healthy. A healthy dosage of it. Don't worry about fatality. It doesn't make you someone is pessimistic. No, it makes you someone that knows that this life has its limit. You has its limit. And the other is to acknowledge the mistake, the past mistakes, your mistake, not other people's mistake against you. Your mistake. Those are the three things to learn ego.
Well, the first one is like the deathbed. Like,
remember you in your deathbed.
The second one is
remember your fault. Third one is the biggest instances in your life, whether it's success or failure. Try to trace it because it's easy to remember that part and see how you behave. Was it ego driven or was it something else?
You also mentioned about the importance of gratefulness. Right.
Those should be the foundation.
Is there any relation between,
of course,
ego, managing our ego, and practicing gratefulness?
The easiest thing to explain is this, Ali. If ego is a building, is the one that you see above soil, the one that's below soil should be gratefulness. It could be something else, but it would not be strong enough to hold that building. It could be revenge. It could be disappointment. But the strongest foundation is gratefulness. You can either be grateful or you can be in greed. It's a choice.
Can you give an example, like a daily example?
Say you're running for presidency and then you lost. And you would feel like it's all the effort that's been wasted. Only if you have the wrong kind of foundation. But if it is gratefulness, then you are forced to think, I'm given the opportunity to lose. There's something behind losing that I'm not aware of, that the Creator wants me to understand. You see? So it becomes different. The lens is different.
And how, from your experience and from your knowledge as well, because there are so many ways, like people talk about different ways to practice gratitude, to maintain gratefulness. What do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
Breathe. Try to be conscious with your breathing. Some would say it's mindfulness exercise. Some would say it's muraqabah. But it's always helpful to have a pit stop. I'm a Muslim, and having at least 5 pit stops every day is the best moment, that nothing else matters but that moment. So breathing from time to time, and be conscious about your breathing. You see, the word inspiration is always interesting. Inspiration is derived from a Latin word, inspirare. Inspirare means to breathe. So inspiration comes when you realize that you're breathing.
Oh, I did not know that.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So breathe. And well, I'm sure we went through negative experience in my life, but stop looking at it from positive, negative point of view, and start looking at what's in it for me. What can I get from it? What's the lesson behind this? See the good of it.
Like how it can impact me in a good way.
How can it impact you?
Looking at from that perspective. I mean.
Well, it make you, how should grounded, more grounded. Yeah. So when you acknowledge emotion, because emotion is given, it always happens to help us make sense of context and environment. But say when you are like, you lose and you get angry, the first thing to do is to accept the situation that you lose. The worst thing to do when you lose, you would say, no, I'm not losing. Who say I'm lost? You create more problem along the way. So you got to accept the fact that you lose. And second of it, accept the fact that you are feeling anger, feeling the anger. You just say to yourself, I am angry.
I'm disappointed.
I'm disappointed. I'm mad. Cannot accept this. Now that would help the process faster, because this is the beauty about this. Our body is resilience, but you know what? Our internals is even more resilience than the body. Of every heartache or every ache that you feel in your body is a manifestation of what's in it. Yeah. You know this. You see? So when you feel something, that's because you try to deny the part that's already happening. You see, I get dizzy because I deny to admit that I'm disappointed, that I was angry. Just acknowledge it. And then be grateful about it, that you're given that opportunity. That means you're alive. Isn't it a beauty that you're given the opportunity to be alive as human, not as a dove, not as a stone, but as human, a fully functioning human being? Isn't that the greatest gift? To make sense of this world. In Arabic, to be here, to have presence, it's called wujud. And the true meaning of wujud, behind it, you know what it is? Ecstatic. Can you imagine that? So it's like the Creator is putting something in each word. It's like a key code. If you accept the fact that you have wujud, you have presence, you have form, then the next thing is to be ecstatic about it. Or if you cannot, find a way to be ecstatic about it. Go places, meet new people, eat new food. I'm not saying to find new spouse. No, absolutely.
but like do things as one of the ways to express that ecstaticness and express that gratefulness as well. Because
This is the Ali and René. Why are we here? The atom in us put us here. Or is it the one that can direct us to be here? And we follow it and we're here. And if we're grateful by being here, this will be a blessing. And the blessing would continue to grow. But if we refuse that blessings, if we're here but we choose to be elsewhere, what would happen? This would not be a conversation. This would be a checkbox. Meeting Ali, done. Talk, done. Show what I need to say, done. You see?
Yeah. How about you? Like, you're here, you're listening to this.
No
right?
coincidence.
Yeah.
The atom in you somehow compel you to watch until this part. And there's a reason. Find out that reason. Be grateful about that reason.
And I think it's very fascinating. Is like to learn to be aware. Because most of the times, well, at least for me, I cannot say for everyone, it just, went over my head just like that, like
Same.
like,
Same. This thing, it doesn't help. This sap our attention. And people who live 100 to 100 years ago, what we see on a daily basis is so much more than what they saw throughout their entire life. So you can imagine how our attention is being, the right word is sapped. But who is really in control? Is it like this? Or is it this? This is controlling me without realizing it. Makes it harder to be grateful. Makes it harder to be patient. The noise.
You
Talking about me, of course.
For a while, you did take yourself out from any social media for a while.
But the only thing I'm no longer an axe. It's too noisy. My wife used to. My IG account was with her for at least 5-6 years. I recently get it in mind because there's some need for me to do it. But controlling it is a learning process. So I delete many other apps.
See.
My I don't know if that would help. You see, it's just the, I don't know if you can see it. This.
Can I
Sure.
just put it like this, maybe? Yeah.
So it's just the first.
Can you just say what's in there?
Basically, it's just the apps that you really need.
Oh, okay. Air Visual, Notes, Steps app. Can I? By the way, can I just mention? Is that okay?
Sure.
I was like, I'm sorry. I should ask your permission.
No worries.
I should ask for your permission.
And I take out any kinds of sound haptics notification.
Yeah,
and this is the one
basically it's like almost nothing there.
Yeah. The second one is the one that I'm studying and I still need, and the third one is everything else. So this is how I discipline myself. It's not an easy thing, but it helps. Recommending a book by Nir Eyal. It's called Indistractable.
Yeah, I know about that book. I haven't read it, but
It's brilliant.
I saw one of his videos.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a connection between managing ego and managing distraction. The higher your ability to manage your distraction, it always positively correlate with the ability for you to manage ego.
This is a very deep conversation.
Is it? Too deep, is it?
Huh?
Ouch.
No, it's in a good way.
Alhamdulillah.
In a good way, because I think it's again, it may, at least personally for me, it made me reflect a lot.
Thank you.
No, thank you. So and that's why I took my pauses as well. I guess I reflect a bit before I continue asking a question or saying anything.
The part that I like about having this conversation with you is that you have the ability to help others to reflect as well throughout the conversation. And that can only happen because you have genuine curiosity. And you need to be able to teach that as well. Because I think a lot of people think curiosity is just about asking questions. So much more than that. It's about having this undivided attention to know, to learn. So, what's the name of this? Learning living. That's the idea of being curious. Is that? I think. I don't know if you realize it. Curious is about learning living. Gratefulness, in a way, is about learning living. That's how learning living should be.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Life has, like it or not, life has its challenges. I mean,
always.
Right. So to live it without learning and maintaining gratefulness, it's so exhausting.
Sure. Yeah. It's always good to have people, like-minded people, people with the same wavelength around you, because it helps you. Even having this conversation, it helped me clarify certain things, certain thoughts, and it's when you start overthink, always helpful to have this conversation, and I'm grateful to be here. Maintaining that like-mindedness in people is tough, especially if you're distracted, especially if you have huge need of validation, and that's why curate your friend carefully. I think that's another important message. Yeah.
My friend, just one more question.
Sure.
Is there any other thing that you think it's important to share, but I haven't asked you yet?
No. I think what you asked is the one that is supposed to be out, and with God's permission, I hope what I said is something that you would understand.
I do understand. Sometimes I need to digest it. But,
likewise.
Right, and I think for anyone who's watching and listening to this as well, but it's important to digest. That's my take of this, and I'm grateful for that, for sharing not just your thought and your knowledge and your wisdom, but your sincerity. I think that's how I feel. That's how I feel. So I thank you for that. And
likewise.
If anybody wants to know more about what you do, your work, your books, anything, or want to reach out,
the book is the last one was still it was last year. Your career workbook.
Yeah.
It basically it's a workbook helping you to start the journey within, to promote gratefulness and building that ability to manage distraction and eventually manage ego. It should be available, but you can also see me at, I think the easiest thing is IG at René CC, or LinkedIn René Suhardono. That's it.
And that's a really, really interesting book. It's very unique when you talk about a career book, like a career guide book that actually starts from within.
Yes.
And by within, it's not just what kind of career that you want. It's way within, like it's way deeper than that.
Yes.
So yeah, if you haven't read the book, please do.
Yes. I need the money from the royalty tax.
Is that ego? Just joking with it.
You'll be surprised. I mean, royalty is nice. You never know the money is there, and then suddenly, hey, you got some royalty. Really? How much? Love it.
No, I was joking because I don't want to make this conversation about ego become tainted by that last joke, because it's not just okay, it's necessary. It's normal to wanna have to increase our income and everything. It's
Now I'm trying my best to be honest about it, even to vocalize it at the expense of people may think negatively on me, but I can accept that. Like back to our first conversation, it was me reminding myself.
Thank you so much for sharing.
The pleasure is mine. Good luck with this podcast. Looking forward to view it along with the other guests. And English is my second language, so I hope you understand the shortcomings.
Oh, likewise. And I hope this won't be the last one as well.
Hopefully.
Thank you so much. For everyone, thank you for watching all the way to this part, and share as well what you've learned, any particular moment from this conversation that hits you differently maybe. So do share and share comments and share this video. Hopefully it can be useful for others as well. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.